Hey, it's Lauren Abrams. I'm so excited to be here live with Lisa McCourt. She's episode 199, all about unlocking your inner peace, embracing spirituality, and finding your joy, which is perfect since she is the Joy School. And go ahead, Lisa, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you, Lauren. Always so much fun to play with you. Excited to talk about joy with you today. Yes, I am the founder of Joy School, an online community where we support one another in living more meaningful, joyful lives through spiritual practices, and the author of lots of books about joy, Free Your Joy being the most recent one.
Yeah, it's such a great book and fun. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to turn fear into really just into everything. How walking through your fear is a profound experience, and you get to be your most authentic self and create the life you really are meant to live while we're here. So, what are the best first steps that someone can take in order to do that? I know,
So,
loaded question.
yeah,
A
I'm deciding
softball,
which
like,
thread
start,
do I
yeah.
pull on first here? We'll just pull on them all.
Yeah.
So fear is what's underlying most of what we consider to be our undesirable emotions, right? Angry people, it's fear at their core. People who are, cynical, frustrated, always being, self-aggrandizing, it's always fear. And our we think that we're afraid of different things, but most of us, when you boil it right down to it, came to some really early conclusions about ourselves and the world, conclusions about our worth. And we're always kind of walking around fearful that we're not worthy enough for the things that we want in this life, that we're not showing up the way people expect us to show up, that if people really knew the truth about us, they'd find out that we aren't lovable or aren't worthy. These are the fears that I find underlie most people, who are struggling to have more joy in their lives. Sometimes it's a fear of the world itself. We learned at a very early age that the world is a scary and unpredictable place, and I have to always keep my dukes up, always keep my guard up to protect myself. So in Joy School, we go through processes to make friends with those fears, to sort of allow them up, because most of them are underneath the waterline of our conscious awareness, and what stays unconscious is running our lives. Only when we can bring it up into our conscious awareness can we work with these beliefs, these feelings, and love them into healing.
Okay, so somebody listening, how can they even be aware that that's what's going on? I was taught that when we're afraid we're not going to get something we want, or we're going to lose something we have, which is
Yeah.
really boiling it down to its simplest form. Um, but a lot of times we're not even aware that that's what it is. Oh, it's fear. And then it's like, okay, now I know it's fear. So I need to address it and say, okay, I'm afraid, tell somebody, and then walk through it. But to
Yeah.
even know that that's what it is, it's not always that easy.
Right. That paradigm that you just brought up has Buddhist origin, and they call it the hungry ghosts, right? That we're always just having this insatiable desire for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, afraid that we're not going to get it. Like you said, it's either that or the clinging. There's also the attachment and clinging to things that we've managed to create or manifest in our lives that we're afraid we're going to lose if we aren't like really vigilant about clinging to them, which of course just brings about the opposite. So yeah, again, just becoming aware of that really, really basic human tendency. And the more aware we get, the more we can start to look back and realize, like, anybody who's ever gotten what they wanted knows that it doesn't make you happy for very long, right? Anytime we're looking to those external things out there, whether those are things we're clinging to or trying to create to feed us some form of happiness, we're looking in the wrong direction. We've always got to address what's going on inside us, learn happiness, learn peace, learn joy on the inside, and then that energy is what goes out to create all those things that we want. And then we don't have to do that chasing with the hungry ghosts or that clinging to the things we're afraid we'll lose.
Yeah. What was I just heard this weekend? Nothing on the outside is going to fix something on the inside. It was said more eloquently and simple, but anyway, there's nothing on the outside that fixes the problem on the inside. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
pretty
actually
much.
created. Yeah, go ahead.
And anytime, and this happens to all of us all the time. So, but it's just such a handy tool. Anytime we catch ourselves wanting to change or fix or alter anything out there, we're looking in the wrong direction. All we need to do is take care of what's in here. When we release our resistance to what's going on, when we make peace with the process, with the journey, that's when we're sending out a different energy that's going to just effortlessly make everything out there fall into place. But you don't care as much anymore because you've got the peace inside. It's just like the whole equation is so firmly ingrained in us in a backwards way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So somebody that's looking to find their purpose, they know they're here for a reason. Everybody is. Everybody has their own unique handprint. Nobody can do what you can do the way you can do it. How do they help get clarity on that?
My position has always been that we all actually share the same purpose. Every one of us is here with the purpose of making this humanity, whichever point in time we've come into this big project called humanity, making it a little better, a little, bringing the natural love and joy and peace that we are at our core. That's what all of us are at our soul level, bringing that more into the day-to-day world for ourselves and others. That's everybody's purpose. And then from there, we look at what lights me up, what brings me joy, what actually does my energy lean into. And we have to get very clear about like reading our own energy. And that's what's showing you how to go about it. You know, for some of us, it's podcasting, Lauren, and spreading this message, or writing books. For somebody, it might be creating artwork, or just like holding the door for everybody at the grocery store that day, or smiling at people on the street. Like it can be very simple. It could be a huge monumental effort to help out one child or one person who needs your help. You know, it's not about how many people you affect. It's about waking up every morning and going to sleep that night knowing that you made a positive difference somewhere along the way. That's really what everybody's purpose is. But we all have weird, unique little ways to go about it. And that's where we just like look to our joy to guide us to those ways.
I love that. And I love how you came about doing what you do now. And you talk about it on the episode, but it's such a incredible story because you've been doing this for so long. Can you just, give the truncated version again about being at that funeral? And like, it was so long ago. I love the story.
I don't even remember what I said.
Oh, okay. Just like it was so long ago when you were working and you were thinking, oh, I think I want to become, and you were at a funeral, you were talking to a reporter, having no idea that this was a reporter.
I
And
think
how
that
you
might be somebody else's story, but I'll just tell you mine because I don't think that was
okay.
mine.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go.
So it's one of those things. I've always been super, super sensitive to the world not being more kind and gentle and loving. And that was always just like a really dorky thing to be. So I covered that up for most of my, growing up in young adulthood. I tried to be cool, way cooler than I am. Right. And in my relationships and my friendships and the way that I presented, I knew that I was super, super dorky in my sensitivities. And I mean, sensitive to the point that when I was in high school and the cool thing to do on the weekend would be go to the latest action movie. Like I literally cannot watch an action movie. If I see people intentionally harming people on the screen, it makes me have to go to the bathroom and throw up. I'm like that sensitive to just the lack of kindness and love that I see around me. So it took me a long time to realize that this wasn't the curse that I thought it was, but it actually is my superpower. And there are other people who have similar sensitivities and other people who don't laugh at and roll their eyes at somebody out there trying to just bring more love and joy into the world. And once I finally gave into that, like, this is my weird little superpower. I can write books about it. I can podcast about it. I can have a whole school around it. That's when everything sort of changed.
Yeah. And then that's so beautiful because we really do. We attract like attracts like. And as we raise our vibrational frequency, we get to really attract amazing, amazing people into our lives. And that's the beauty of being our authentic selves. And I love that. And it's so funny when I asked you about your hardest challenge you ever overcame, you're like, I don't have this incredible story, but you actually did. You have a human story, just like we all do. And you were so apologetic for just having a regular human story.
Yeah. I mean, I overcame childhood trauma and abuse, but truthfully, almost everybody that I get to work with, once we get, past the surface stuff, has overcome childhood trauma and abuse. It's not the rare thing that we think it is.
Yeah. So, and it's just so incredible. So I love that. And you talk about aligning with really our soul purpose. And do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, to take it a little further than what I just expressed, I really think that we want to be our authentic self, but even that is a little bit of a nuanced project, right? Because at our most core level, our authentic self is not terribly individual, right? We are oneness, we are source. And that's sort of the aim of all spirituality, is to fall back into where we are all exactly the same, right? But we think that being our authentic self means setting ourselves apart, individuating ourselves. And where we're also individual is in what we call in Joy School our horizontal self. It's like the persona that we've created and built throughout our life since we arrived here. So we're all two selves. We're our vertical self, which is source, God, energy, soul, where we're all really the same. And then we are horizontal self, which is just the accumulation of what we've absorbed from our caregivers, what we've been taught by our culture, our school, our society. None of that is the real us, but it's the game that we come here to play. So we try to like make ourselves stand out in our horizontal self, but that causes a lot of suffering often. And that's, in Joy School, we're always trying to like strike that balance between like, I'm going to be able to fall back into my vertical self where everything is beautiful and peaceful and love and joy, while I bring some of those aspects into my horizontal self and go do my earth life here.
Yeah. So take that down to where somebody who isn't in Joy School, though, and is just listening, can understand that a little bit better.
Okay. So I think that we can all recognize on the most basic level when our hearts, when we're open and when we're closed down, right? We know when we're watching a beautiful sunset or listening to beautiful music, we feel energy move through us. We feel emotion move through us because it's pleasant. It's pleasant emotion. So we just we open ourselves to allow that movement of feeling, of emotion, which is what emotions are meant to do, is stay in motion. When we're in a circumstance where we don't like the feeling, the tendency is to close in, to shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all can look back on our past week or month or year and know that there were times when we were open and times when we were closed down. And the times when we're open is when we're just naturally aligned with soul, with source. This is who we came here to be. This is what we came here to allow through. And all the places where we feel our energy contract, that's just where we've gotten some sort of belief along the way. We've picked up some sort of belief about ourselves, about the world being a scary place. And when something out here reminds us or matches the energy, the vibrational frequency of one of those old beliefs that we have stored, it causes a whoosh of disturbed energy inside us. And our tendency is to close down when we feel that. We need to learn to appreciate that this thing out here, or sometimes it's just a thought crossing our mind, is actually an opportunity to stay open, to relax our physicality, to open our heart, to look at what is this emotion, recognize that it's probably not really about the thing that just happened, even though it feels like
Right.
it is. It's about something I have stored within me. And then hold ourselves in so much love and compassion in recognition that there's just this stored frequency that we didn't have the bandwidth to process and allow to move through us at an earlier point in our life. And now we can. With our emotional maturity, with practice, we can just hold ourselves in that space, feel the emotion, let all of it bubble up. And this is how we start to divest ourselves of all these stored frequencies so that the things that we bump into out here don't bother us anymore.
Yeah, and I love that. And you talked about this in the episode too. And thank you for clarifying, because I think it would, I'm kind of paraphrasing it a little bit back to you. So when we notice ourselves closing down, as you say, or contorting in, however you want to put it, that's when we notice, oh, something, maybe I have a limiting belief happening. I have something, I'm closing down, I'm shutting down in some way, and to try to lean into it and open up and then feel the feelings, the best we can. I mean, if we're at work or something, is what you talked about also in the episode, like you can't necessarily do it then, but to notice it, what's happening here, what am I believing, and what am I feeling, and feel it all the way through. And what I was taught is that means new neural pathways are also being developed, and that I won't have to experience this exact thing again
Yeah,
because
that's what
I'm retraining myself, and
one of my
it's
teachers
there's
has
freedom.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. That's
Go
how we
ahead.
get great. One of my teachers has a cool analogy that'll help to bring it home. The when we have a splinter, right? Say you have like a painful splinter in your finger, you could like try to devise your whole life around not bumping into anything that's going to hurt where that splinter is, and that takes a lot of attention and a lot of energy, and it's exhausting to try to make sure that you don't bump your splinter. Or you can take the splinter out, and it might hurt a little bit when you pull it out, but you know that you're willing to do that little bit of hurt because then it'll heal up. Like our physical bodies left to their own devices will heal themselves. Our energy bodies are always trying to push those splinters out, those old traumas. Our energy body is a self-healing mechanism too, if we let it, if we don't keep squeezing it and keeping those things in there.
Okay. And this is how we'll stop feeling so short fused and all that, like, yeah, that kind of, and how to generate the inner peace. And to me, like when we get that feeling, which you embody, you can see it. There's a domino effect. Cause I think when we feel like that, the people around us also, it cultivates it in them too. So it's not just us that feels joy. We get to, other people feel happier.
Yeah, I wish people would just learn these skills for their own sweet, precious selves, but a lot of people don't even feel worthy of that. But if you convince them, this will up-level everyone in your family. This will be better for your kids, for your relationships, for your work environment. Because it's true, we're vibrational creatures swimming through a sea of vibration all day long. Vibration affects vibration. We're like tuning forks. We're always affecting everybody around us.
Yeah, that's what I've been, the last class of meditation, intro to mindfulness meditation I taught. I started it by saying, think of us as we're tuning our instrument first thing in the morning and then going out into the world. So we are the tuning instrument. So I love that you said that. This has been so great. I'm so glad we got to do this again.
Me
And
too.
everyone you've got to hear, it's episode 199. Lisa is so amazing. And all of her links, everything is in the show notes. I'll put them below. And she has all kinds of programs. She has you have something coming up. You want to just briefly talk about it?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing an online retreat in July. It's a Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5, July 20th and 21st. That's the next thing coming up. Love to have you join us.
Yeah. And everyone, I mean, she's full of joy, of course. So this is so fun. Thanks for joining me again.
Thank you, Lauren. Love being with you always.
Yeah.